All right, let's get right into it. Tonight, we're going to take a drive down some of the darkest, loneliest roads you can imagine. Why? Because we're going to break down the anatomy of a truly modern horror legend, the haunted highway.
You know, a warning like this, it's absolutely chilling. But it's not just some line from a story. It is the #1 rule in a deadly game you don't even realize you're playing. And it might just be the only key to survival.
So we're not just here to tell you a few ghost stories. Nope, we're going to deconstruct them. We're going to pop the hood on this powerful haunted highway formula and see exactly what makes these stories so darn effective and so terrifying. To do that, we're going to look at 3 different tales and figure out what makes them tick. And it all starts with the one thing they all have in common: the perfect setting for fear. Think about it, a place where there's no help for miles and your phone has 0 bars. It's basically the ultimate isolation chamber, but on wheels. Okay, so let's look at how these stories actually get going. Because pretty much every single haunted highway tale starts with a test. It's like a pop quiz on your own compassion, but the stakes are, life and death. It's all designed to trigger that very human need to help someone. And you can see the pattern right here. Each story throws a seemingly innocent, totally sympathetic person in our hero's path. A lost little girl, victims of a car crash, a traveler who just needs a ride. It's a situation that's meant to pull right at your heartstrings. And this right here, this has a name. It's the lure. It's the critical first move that preys on our instinct to be a good person, turning what should be a simple act of kindness into, well, a potential death sentence. So you've seen the lure. Now what? Well, what you do next is absolutely everything. Because these stories, they operate on a hidden set of rules. Think of it like a supernatural driver's manual that you were never, ever given. And that's fascinating, right? The idea that this chaos has a logic. And if you can just figure it out, maybe, just maybe, you'll make it out alive.
So, getting out of this alive isn't about being the strongest or the smartest person in the car. It's about one thing: knowing these hidden rules. Let's see how this plays out by comparing 2 of our protagonists, one who gets told the rules and one who, tragically, does not. Just look at the difference those rules make. It is literally life or death. Sandeep gets a direct order from his driver, and this is the key: he actually listens. He stays in the car. Mohit, on the other hand, he misses the warning sign and breaks that cardinal rule. He gets out, and the consequences? They're final. So the most important point here is pretty simple. Your car is your sanctuary. It's a little bubble of safety made of glass and steel. This whole idea that these spooky entities are bound by physical things and by rules, it's a classic for a reason. It gives our hero a fighting chance, but only if they know the rulebook. All right, now we get to the real heart of it, the thing that makes these stories so unforgettable, the twist ending. This is that moment where the rug is just completely pulled out from under you and the terrifying truth is finally revealed. So first, let's circle back to Sandeep, the CEO who was smart enough to stay in his car. Who, or really what, was that little girl waiting on the side of the road? Yeah, she wasn't a lost child at all. She was the bait. The story goes that the next morning, the police often find an empty car on that exact stretch of road. The driver just gone. Sandeep only survived because he followed that one simple rule. He never opened his door. Okay, what about Mohit and his family? What was the real story behind that creepy roadside diner where they thought they found safety? The twist here is just bone-chilling. The diner, it never existed. The police report at the very end of the story reveals the whole thing. The chase, the strange owner, the diner itself, it was all a hallucination after they had died. The family died instantly in that first crash. And finally, let's talk about Shahar, the taxi driver, and his mysterious passenger with that unbelievably heavy suitcase. Now, this twist is brilliant because it completely flips the script. Why was the suitcase so heavy? Because her own body was inside it. The passenger wasn't a threat to him at all. She was a ghost, using him to find her body so her killer could finally be brought to justice. So, after all of these twists and turns, we get to the really big question. Why are these stories so powerful? What is it about this specific formula that makes them stick with us long after we've turned the headlights off? Well, it seems to come down to this deeply unsettling 4-step recipe. You isolate someone,
You test their morals, you hint at rules they can't possibly understand, and then you hit them with a shocking reveal. And this formula works because it taps into fears we all have. The fear of being alone, of being tricked. It takes our car, which is usually a symbol of freedom, and turns it into the only thing keeping the darkness out. So, at the end of the day, these aren't just stories to tell around a campfire. They are very much modern day fables. They're warnings about the dangers, both real and, well, maybe not so real, that are waiting for us just beyond the reach of our headlights. And that really just leaves us with one last thing to think about on your next late night drive. When you're on that dark, empty road and you see a figure up ahead on the shoulder, what are you going to do?